Hello guys, today I just wanted to show you how to create a form with a drop-down list. So as you can see here, we have a form with name field, email field, phone, and then best time to call field. So it has also message field and submit button. So the drop-down field is created using the HTML data list. And as you can see here, you can select best time to call, for example, morning. Okay, and it's a responsive form. So we're gonna see how can we create this using HTML data list and CSS. Okay, so I have a few links here that can help, so I'm gonna post those links below the video. So the first link, I found this very clear explanation on the Computer Hope website. It explains what the data list is, and it says here, when writing HTML, data list tag is used to designate a list of options in the input element. Okay, these options can be selected using drop-down menu or via autocomplete. But what is important here is, let me see. It says here attributes within HTML tag. An attribute dictates certain aspects of HTML element. So if we look on our code, let me go to HTML. So what's important about this drop-down list is that here we have this ID on a data list, ID call. And then we have a list attribute here, also with a value of call. So this input field is actually linked to the data list via this ID. So that's why when we go to our form, we have this data list working. Okay, so I'm going to stop a video, delete the code, and then recreate it step by step. Okay, now we have a blank HTML file with a body tag. And within the body tag, we're going to open the form tag. Just going to copy and paste because I already have the code. I'm just going to copy and paste and then explain the code. So within the form tag, we're going to put the first group is called this group with a class of field wrap. So what's happening here is we have a div with a class field wrap, which wraps our div that contains label and input for the name field. And then we have a second div that contains our email label and input for the email field. Okay. So the next one, we're going to close this one. We're closing the field wrap class. And then we go to the next portion of our code, which is the same principle, only for the phone and our data list. So here we have our, again, wrapper div with the class field wrap, and then it wraps the first div that contains our label and input for the phone. We can actually put ID phone. Then the next one, we're gonna put this actually our input field for the best time to call field. And then after that, we're putting our data list. Again, going back to our data list, we just put call ID call Okay, so the second group is again class field rep. So the first div contains phone, label phone input. Then the second div contains our data field, best time to call. And then we're closing this field rep, this wrapper div that wraps to these two divs. Okay, and then the next one we have our message field, the class message, again label text area, and the last is our button. And it all sits within the form tag. Okay, so this is how it looks now. Okay, so this is how it looks now. So our data list. So in the input field, we put the name is list, and then ID list, and then the list attribute with the call value, and then ID call. So this one links to this one. Okay. So now we're gonna style it with CSS. So unstyled, it looks like this. But we're going to style it with CSS. Okay, so I already have my CSS here. I'm just going to copy and paste. So first we target the form itself. We give it max width 780 pixels, width 90%, and margin auto to center it on the page. Then I just remove padding from the input fields. And then we target our field wrap class. We give it display flex, so it becomes a flex item, and then justify content space between. Let's see how it looks now. Okay, so it's just our so this is our 780 pixel container, as you can see, and now this is flex items, because we gave it display flex, so and then justify content space between. Okay, next one, we're targeting our divs that sit within the field rep. We're using the child selector, so these divs and these divs, this, and this, and then we just give it some flex grow, flex shrink, and flex basis. So flex grow 0, flex shrink 0, and then flex basis, it's a width. Then we're given the width and the height to our input fields. Then we're targeting our labels, div label and then message label. So this one's labels, this, and this, and this. And then we target our text area. So text area, we give it the width, resize none. Let's see how it looks now. Okay, it's much better. And we have our button. So button, for our button we use just some styling, display flex, so the button becomes a flex container. Whatever sits within is a flex item, and we're giving it some remove border, some padding, margin. So margin is just because left right auto margin, so it centers it here, so it becomes in the center, so it sits in the center. And then on hover we just change the color. So on hover. Okay, so the next one, we just add some media query, so it behaves differently on smaller screens, our form. And for media query it's pretty straightforward. When it hits 780 pixels, so we give it we're changing the margins compared to this one. So here was just margin auto, but on smaller screens we give it top margin, left right auto, and then bottom margin 1.5 rem. So we're changing the flex direction because by default flex direction, when we give it a flex, display flex, to field rep, here we gave display flex, it was flex direction flex row, so it goes from left to right, but then the main axis, but now the main axis becomes from top to bottom. And then we're changing divs to auto here. Okay, let's see how it works now. I'm just gonna go to DevTools, just remove it a little bit here. And okay, so on smaller screen it looks like this. So 360, 411 pixel, so iPad. Okay, but you guys can check it yourself, play with this. So what else interesting about this data list is this value so it looks like to select the, say for example, if you wanna select morning, if you wanna select a different option, you cannot do it without without deleting it. So right now I'm using backspace, so I delete it, and only after that I can select another option. It's kind of inconvenient a little bit because you don't have like a fully functional drop-down list, like drop-down option. You see, I have to delete first, and then only I can select the new option. But what we can do, actually, I came across this link because I was browsing for the solution how to like improve this, and I came across this Stack Overflow post, how to clear data list input on click. And here they suggest using JavaScript. So create on focus and on change listeners on your input element to clear focus after selecting an option, then clear input on focus. So what we can do, I already have the code here. I'm just gonna grab this from my HTML. Go to our input, and paste it here. Okay, so on change, on focus, on change, and then there's a placeholder. And then let's see what happens here. Okay, now it's working as we want. So now you don't have to delete. Now you can just use the drop down and select from the drop down. Okay, so again, I'm gonna post all those links below the video. So this link, HTML data list tag, there's a link on HTML5 spec. There's also a link on MD and Web Docs at Developer Mozilla. Also this link I will post below the video, and I came across this interesting link as well on how it's called a data list experiment. This is actually how you can use data lists with different type of input. So you can use text as a data type, you can use range, color, time, date, and yeah. So that's all, guys, I wanted to share with you today, and as always, thank you for watching.